Welcome back to another recording of the Elevate Media Podcast. I'm Chris Anderson. Today's going to be a good one. You've heard of cold outreach. You've heard of, bringing cold leads in via marketing. We're going to kind of hit a switch up or a change up today. We're going to be talking about how cold outreach marketing is dead. So we've got the CEO and founder of Fizzy Media, Jason Fisico, on the show today. He's produced well over $100 million in revenue for his clients before starting Fizzy Media. And so since then, the team has worked with some of the biggest brands in their respective niches, and we're excited to dive into how cold marketing is dead now. Jason, welcome to the Elevate Media Podcast today.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's really awesome.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, what got you, into the whole marketing world, like helping brands with their marketing?
Yeah, for sure. So when I started out, I just like a lot of people, I started out with free work. I saw this opportunity where I could work for some agencies if I just pitched them. So I pitched a couple of agencies. I found one that was willing to take me on for free. I did my 100-hour weeks, and I learned so much. It was to the point where that agency, the two co-founders sat down with me after hours, and they kind of worked with me and taught me a couple things. And I think they kind of just felt bad, but I was like, oh my gosh, I'm learning so much. Let's keep doing it. So I did that, and then I ended up having a whole career in the agency space, doing free, and then also did freelancing on the side. So a lot of great learning opportunities that have led up to where I am now. So
that's really awesome. And, I think that's, sometimes you got to pay those dues, right?
That's right.
To elevate, we were doing the free to fee structure where we would do it for free just to build a portfolio and show what we could do. And,
that's it.
Yeah. Yep. So I get that. And that's cool because you do learn a lot more because you're so much more invested and there's so much more on the line that you're trying to take it all in. And, you learn pretty quickly what works and what doesn't. We have to do it that way. But that's cool. So, this perspective of cold outreach marketing is dead, man. Where did that stem from, and why do you think that's the case?
It's something I do. I say that a lot, and it gets a lot of people to go crazy. So I just think we have all this technology in the online ad space that it almost doesn't make sense to spend too much of your time on cold outreach, right? Cold outreach, the game is you have what they call targeted lists, which really they aren't too targeted. Then you reach out to them in volume, and then you hope that a really, really small percentage actually book a call. Right. But the thing is, the thing with cold outreach, whether it's DMs or it is cold email, there isn't a lot of pre-framing that you can do as well, because the game is you send them to a quick landing page, or you just quickly get them to a calendar.
Yep.
You get them to book. And then on the sales calls, either you or your sales team has to spend the first 30 to 40 minutes explaining what the offer even is before they can get to the pitch. If they explain the offer in 20 minutes or 15 minutes, that only gives them a few minutes to decide, okay, this is what I think the offer is, and then this is my decision on whether or not I like it. Whereas on the ad side, you can hyper target them, and then you can spend a lot of time pre-framing them by sending them through an elaborate funnel that actually gives them all the messaging they need before the call. But it also allows for you to do more complex automations and different things where they see a lot of emails and texts long before any sort of call or anything, or if you're selling something directly from a landing page, whatever it is, right? The only time I've seen cold outreach really work these days is really for very small brick and mortar. When you're trying to reach out to restaurants for clients, like B2B, basically, right? If you're trying to reach out to restaurants, or if you're trying to reach out to freelance contractors, but the results have still never compared to where ads are now. And the reality is, we're seeing a decline just across the board for people who are doing cold outreach methods, because there's a huge crackdown that we're seeing on how many messages can you send out, and how many times you can get put into like the spam, until your emails are getting banned, from Gmail or Outlook, whatever it is. So there's just too many complications, and at this point the results aren't there.
So your kind of perspective is, kind of dangle the bait out there, let them decide to take the bait into the funnel, and they're almost automatically warm because they saw the thing and they took the action on it.
For sure. So the biggest thing is, the only way to get the kind of leads you want, and more importantly, the kind of clients or customers that you want, is to properly pre-frame them.
Gotcha.
But when you're doing cold outreach, you don't have that luxury to pre-frame them, because you're already playing such a high volume game just to get a small amount of people in.
Right.
And so your biggest objective there is quick conversion, and then forget the pre-framing. You just kind of you get them to do whatever it is, and then you just hope and pray that they're the right kind of person.
Okay. So walk me through kind of what that would look like if someone were to do this right. Maybe they've got an ad in place, and someone clicks on that ad. What would, you talked about a lot of automation. You can use it for, the funnel. What does that kind of look like, high level, of that process of someone seeing their ad to, buying or getting a call, whatever that end result is?
Yeah, for sure. So there's 3 core processes. I say 3, there's really 4. But the 4th one, when I tell you it shouldn't even be a core process. It should just be embodied in everything you do.
Gotcha.
So number 1, you have the ads. So Facebook and Google account for 70% of online advertising worldwide, right? So that's pretty important, because what that means is they have the world's data, right? They have so many data points to go off of for reference. So Facebook and Google ads, that's number 1. You have that. You can hyper-target people. You can find people who are looking exactly for the kind of products or services that you were selling, or you can target people who Facebook and Google have identified to interact with companies just like yours, right? That's the game. And you can get it so hyper-specific. If you want men 30 plus who have a certain income level and are looking for a certain product or service, you can do that at volume. And then number 2 of that is you send that traffic somewhere. You don't send it to your website, because there's so many distractions. There's 20 different links. There's so many ways they can go off of the site, like if they click on your social media, whatever that is. So you don't do that. You send them to very simple landing pages where every single button leads to one call to action. If that's to book a call or to get to the next page so that they can buy a product directly off your landing page, whatever it is, you send them to landing pages, right? Number 3 of that, once you collect some sort of information, maybe it's their name and email, or maybe even get their phone number.
Yep.
Once you collect some information, you can then automate following up with them until they go and take a desired action.
Right.
So this could be a 1-week sequence. This would be 2 weeks, 3 months, a year. You can do that endlessly. And the automations that we integrate for our clients, it's email and SMS.
Yep.
Right. Now that 4th element, which really shouldn't be an element, it should be embodied in everything you do, is the copywriting. And I tell people this all the time. I've seen countless people, they'll spend 10 grand, 50 grand a month, or if they have a small budget, 2 grand a month. And that's like their whole marketing budget. And they don't think at all about copywriting. But the thing is, and you've seen this too, so many of your competitors will have ugly websites, ugly landing pages, ugly ads, but they're going to continue to run those all year round because it works. And why does it work? They have their messaging dialed in.
Yep.
So the first person you should ever hire is a copywriter. And so what's embodied into like Fizzy's service is we hire the best copywriters, and then everything else like comes in place after that, right?
Right.
If we have the best messaging experts who know how to research your audience and write to their exact pain points, everything is gonna work.
Yeah.
Now we'll sprinkle in like people who can make like beautiful landing pages, sprinkle in people who know how to media buy, sprinkle in people who know how to do the automations, and then not only does it work, but it's beautiful. Like it's literally that simple. It's that simple. And people love it. Like we're getting great results for our clients.
So, does the length of follow-up matter? Or is that kind of depending on the market? Like, is there a good, I guess, cadence that you have found that works for following up on an average,
For sure, yeah. So, and that's a good question because there's multiple ways to target that. But the biggest thing is that first week after they give their information and they're getting followed up, that is the most crucial. You should be hitting them every single day. But you don't need to do that manually. So if you have 100 people coming to your pipeline or 1,000, that's the importance of the automations. It's going to do all that for you. So that first week, you want to hit them every day. After that, you can hit them every 2 days, every 3 days, and then sprinkle out. And so the craziest sequences that we've ever built, we're talking about like 6 months of follow-up.
Yeah.
But by the time you get to like month 6, you're following up every like 3 days, every 4 days, or something like that, right? You can get as complex as you want, but I've had many clients where they have a lot of success with just that 1 week follow up, and then after that, they do an email blast like once a week, right? And that's if we're going like just complete minimums.
Sure,
but that works wonders,
Yeah. So how do you do that follow up well? Because you can come off as spammy, people get annoyed, they opt out. So how do you make it where they continue to receive those texts? I think text specifically, SMS, because I think that's the thing that's going to be growing even more in the future. But even with email, because the emails get so lost a lot of the times, even if you do it correctly. But how do you not get opted out? Like what is a good way to approach it to provide value and top of mind and all that?
For sure. I'd like to both actually, because email follow-up is like very important.
Okay.
I'd say more important because long-term, your email is what is going to make you the most money, So email follow-up, what a lot of people do when they do the follow-ups, it's like, hey, I saw you didn't book that call. Book a call now. Hey, by the way, I hit you up yesterday. You didn't book a call yet. Book a call now. Hey, were you still interested? It's like, that's no way to do it.
Right.
That's a quick way to burn your list before you've even built a relationship.
Yeah.
So the better way to do it is, hey, so you showed some interest in this, and I just want to tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
Hey, you showed some interest in this, and you know what? I actually have a client who was in the same position as you, and this is blah, blah, blah. Or like, hey, this is you showed some interest in this, and chances are these are your pain points. And this is what we've done to overcome those pain points. And at the very bottom, it's like, hey, you know what? If you want to learn more, how about you jump on a quick call, right?
Yeah.
If not, no worries. But continue enjoying this content, right? It's not pushy. It's giving a lot of value. And the whole point of your follow-up should only be one objective. It's the mindset shift. You're just shifting their mind. And if it takes a few months for you to do that, great, because at the end of the day, they're going to come back to you and give you all their money, right? And of course, they're only going to do that if your service is actually good,
Right.
And then SMS is quick one-liners. It's like, hey, I sent you a quick email. Hope it provides you some value. Have a great day.
Okay.
Hey, I saw you showed some interest a few days ago. If you were still interested, I actually just sent you like a really important email. How about you check it out whenever you're free? No worries if you're not interested. Okay, just like that. It's not pushy, but it's very value focused.
Okay, that makes sense because SMS cost per character or whatever, and so keeping it short. So just adding value through the whole time. Is there a point where you just switch to the kind of hard schedule call? Like, do you do that ever? Like, hey, we've been talking to you for a while now. Let's dive into it or whatever. Or has it continued to always be value and just kind of have that call to action at the end?
So my style is always just value, and that has just always worked. We get the best click-through rates possible on all of our emails. Everyone wants that golden 5 to 7% click-through rate on their emails.
Yeah.
Where after they open, 5 to 7% actually click the link and go to the desired destination.
Yep.
We max those out like crazy with that simple process. And then, of course, the only time where we're really aggressive is when they've already booked a call and we're sending call reminders. Because the day of, they get 5 reminders. But we've done A/B tests, and time and the more reminders you send them on the day of, the better your show up rates are.
Sure. Absolutely. Now with that, do you have them schedule an actual a Zoom call, or are you just on the phone talking? Because now people go back and forth on what's better on these.
What has worked the best is we tell them, hey, we're going to call you this time with this number that you gave us. Hey, we're going to call you this time at this number.
Yep.
Hey, just finishing up a call, but we're going to call you at this time and this number. And that's it. But if the team feels like they get better results with a video call, Google Meets, not Zoom.
No, not Zoom. Why is that?
So Zoom, there are a lot of different technical difficulties that could happen.
Okay.
For one, if you are reaching an audience that is, they're not as tech savvy and they haven't downloaded Zoom, done any of that, they have to go through the process of downloading it first, then they click on it, right? And then they have to make sure they're clicking on the right button or the right link. Google Meets, you send them that link, it is stupid easy to know what to do, So it's so much better to automate Google Meets. But again, what has worked for us time and time again, and mind you, I myself have generated 30,000 calls. My team has generated a whole lot more. And phone calls is still the best way to go in terms of conversion rates and close rates and all that.
That's just simpler for people, even those, this is always better in my opinion. But I think, just phone calls easier because they can be wherever. If they forgot, they can still go sit in their car and still focus and talk to you. And
you don't need to be tech savvy to receive a text that says, hey, we're going to call you. And then you expect the call at a certain time.
Yep.
You don't need to be tech savvy.
Absolutely. No, I agree on that. So, because we go back and forth, and we actually give them the option to choose phone or Zoom. And it's just basically up to them on that point. But no, because I think it's interesting because even with everything with COVID in the past and having to go a lot of people went virtual, I think also they're almost a little burned out from Zoom now, and so I think phone calls just again another reason why phone calls are simpler in that regard. How have you seen with this this process you've talked us through right now, automation? How have you seen a shift with it, with the AI boom, with ChatGPT? What has changed for the better? What has become an issue with it, or have you seen any of that?
Yeah, for sure. So everyone is, I shouldn't say everyone. Most people are getting really, really lazy.
Okay.
And almost becoming too dependent on AI, and that's ultimately where we win. Don't get me wrong, we use AI ourselves, but we still always have a human touch.
Yeah.
Right. So, because if you're writing these robotic automations that it just sounds like it's this automated message versus a human reaching out and genuinely saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm really excited for a call."
Yep.
Right. That's why we win. A lot of people, they have ChatGPT write out their scripts, it writes out their landing pages and all of that. But the thing is, ChatGPT, what you can't account for is that it doesn't necessarily hit on those exact pain points that your audience is feeling.
Yeah.
And that is the bread and butter of what makes marketing work.
Right.
Like I said, ugly landing pages, ugly social media, ugly ads, but great messaging, and you're always going to win.
Right.
And so they use ChatGPT for their messaging. That's where they fail. I've seen it too, where they're like, have you ever heard of like Be Human?
I've heard of it. I haven't used it at all.
Right. So you record one video of yourself, and then you can make multiple mock-ups and change up the script and change up certain words. I've seen people do that, and then it just looks so fake.
Yeah.
And then I've seen where people ultimately depend on AI to do all these follow-ups, to do a follow-up for them, and then have a basic conversation with them, with the prospects. And like, I feel like it's just overcomplication, and people are focusing too much on how can I get less work like on my plate and have AI do more.
Right.
But where it's going now, where a lot of people are going, is they're letting AI do too much to the point where it's taking away from what is actually working. What works is great messaging, simplicity, and a better user experience. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're overcomplicating all that with AI, then you're doomed, you know? And I've seen people too where because they implement all this AI, so many automations are breaking in the background that at the end of the day, it's hurting their show-up rates, it's hurting their conversion rates, it's hurting their opt-in rates. So I don't know. I feel like use AI with discretion.
Yeah.
Simplify your process and have your user experience just so easy.
Yeah, and that's what you need. I think, we're not at the point where AI is like better than humans, basically. Will it get there? We'll see. And that's a different story for another day. But where we are now, I think, yes, I think people are thinking it's at that point. But, just like I think just recently they put on ChatGPT on the bottom, like things might not be accurate, maybe check important things. Like, so now they're like, and then there's, I forget, an article or something saying like it was plagiarizing or it's like giving fake information, but it did it so like confidently that people were believing it, and it was, even though it was fake information, and it's like, whoa. So there's a lot too with that going back and forth that you have to be careful about as well.
For sure, yeah. So I mean, ChatGPT has its uses, right? Like,
sure,
we've had like contracts where a lot of the different clauses, probably like 70% of the contracts, were created by ChatGPT. Then we have a lawyer go look at the contract, and the lawyer's like, "Yeah, this is perfect. Where'd you guys get this template?" And we're like, "Oh no, we had ChatGPT write a lot of it, right?"
Yeah.
Or another use case is like, for like, for ad copy, right? Like on Facebook ads mainly, or for blog posts, right? We'll have ChatGPT, write up some samples, give us some ideas for openers. Things like that, help expedite the research. Yep. But then we still have a world-class copywriter come through and then use some of that framework and then write it better. Write it better, and then also use our own knowledge of the pain points of the target audience and then make it really good. It just speeds up the process, but it shouldn't replace the process. That's what I mean.
Right. Yeah, it's a tool. It's not the whole process, like you said. And I think that's what we have to be careful of. And it definitely has its place, but definitely something that has to be used wisely.
Exactly.
Because you can tell when people post, and it's crazy, man. There's marketing companies that I see doing posts for their own company, and you could tell the copy is just straight from ChatGPT. Like, this is how it's worded and like what's said and stuff, and then it's like, wow, and so it's like, I don't know, that's, for me, that wouldn't work. I wouldn't want that.
Well, here's the problem though. 95% of people who are not marketers themselves don't know that. And that's why I go down to my most important point, which is the first and most important person that you should be hiring for your marketing efforts is a copywriter. Because even if you don't have the budget for advertising or the budget for high production social media, if you have a great copywriter, you will speak to your target audience. They will almost feel like they are being called out when you are speaking about the problems in the industry or talking about your solutions for the problems in the industry, they will feel called out. But if you don't have that great messaging, you can reach hundreds of thousands of people and feel like you're spending thousands of dollars in marketing and be like, yeah, marketing doesn't work. I've worked with all these different agencies, but marketing doesn't work. And here's the thing, the reason why people say that and why they go through that, when they say, oh, I spent $50K on marketing, I've worked at all these agencies, it's never worked, is those agencies have no regard for their messaging. They're like, oh yeah, we're the best at advertising. We're the best at building landing pages. That's great. But the lack of messaging means it'll never work.
Right. Yeah, messaging is huge, and it's something we're even, continually trying to improve and tweak and dial in and all of that. And so it is something definitely focus on to get that down, because you try to speak to everybody, you speak to no one, right? At least you and I probably heard that, but how narrowed down do you get your clients to go with messaging, or how like specific, like, because sometimes you can get in the weeds with them, like, oh, I serve men with brown hair and what, you know what I'm saying? So how we do it is we go, okay, what is your biggest package and what is the target audience for that? Typically by asking that one question, what is your biggest package, or what is your most expensive product? It already narrows down for us, like already very hyper specific, right? Like for one audience, for one of our clients, they have a consulting package, right? And it is, 5 figures a month, really expensive, right? You're basically buying a car every month. That's how expensive it is. Yeah.
Right. And so the only kinds of companies that can really afford that is either a 7-figure company with high profit margins,
right,
or 8 and 9-figure companies, right? So you're talking about the 1% of America, because a 7-figure company is already the 4%, but a 7-figure company with high profit margins, you're bringing down the percentages really, really low, right? So how do we attract the 1% of America? We can't narrow it down to hair color or anything like that specific, because 1% is already a small amount, right? So that's what I mean. Like, so we say, hey, what is your biggest package? What is your biggest product? And let's go after that, because this has been proven time and time again. Like I told you, we generated well over 30,000 calls, and we've seen what's worked. By going after your biggest products, that is by far the easiest way to be profitable in the marketing, but also to scale.
Yep.
Because too, when you are going after a much more affluent audience, you're no longer playing a game of, hey, how about I give you 50% off? Or, hey, is this in your budget? Is that okay? Like, you're no longer playing that game. You're now playing a game of, here's our product, here's our service, this is how much it costs, and then it's just a matter of whether or not they like you.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yep.
And so it's a much easier game. It's a lot easier to sell to a 1% audience than it is to sell to an like the lower or the bottom 50%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and then also when your marketing costs are, say, $10,000 a month, and you're selling a $20,000 product, you only need one sale to be profitable. Right. Just imagine if you have it dialed in and you're getting 10 of those sales every month, your profit margins and your return on ad spend just looks so beautiful. And so that's the game that we play, It's like, oh, you're selling this, that, that's cool. Oh, you have a $10,000 product? Let's sell that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a good clarification, because I think people starting out who are, a lot of them listen to the show, and we were there, get in the weeds of that target market, right? You got to have the avatar and know the details and everything about that individual. And for some, I guess that works for some markets, but knowing kind of what your top package is and who buys it and why and what are their pain points and focusing there, is a crucial, huge piece to it. So, this has been awesome. A lot of great information that you gave to the audience, from the whole kind of funnel system, getting them in the automation process, adding value through it, through, the landing page, then the data collection and follow-ups to the copywriting. So appreciate you taking time out to share and give value to the audience with this. If people want to connect with you, find out more about what you do, who you are, how you can help, what's the best place for them to go?
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. The best way to find more about Fizzy and our team, go to fizzymedia.com. That is FIZZI media.com, and you'll find everything you need to know right there.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, everyone check them out, get connected with them. And yeah, just continue to learn and get us help if it's right for you. And again, Jason, thanks so much for being on the Elevate Media podcast today.
Yeah, thank you.